Spinifex occupation of the Great Victoria Desert goes back about 25,000 years. It's only really in the last 60 years that they've had contact with the outside world. Law is still strong, we know that. Culture is still strong. People still speak their language in preference to English. A harder, tougher group of people you couldn't meet.
The Spinifex people, due to the Maralinga testing in South Australia, were relocated out of the Great Victoria Desert to a place called Kalgoorlie, which was a mission.
Spinifex people were actually sort of transported quite a long way away, about 500 kilometres away from country.
White men came in the bush in the missionary time. I've seen all the missionary in the time in the war, but all around bush, white men went in the desert, coming in the bush. I come and see all people in the desert. I reject. I'm watching all old people in the country. Kalgoorlie mob, Caravan mob, and all the desert people there was there.
Yes, I used to remember I used to go out before I came in. All kids go out and look for some of those bush tuckers.
It's food here. I never get used to that was first my ear and condom and all that. When you're hidden, when a little kid, can't get a sick, nothing. It's a sort of right through. We could.
We found some bush bananas. Kalgoorlie. That's how Kalgoorlie got this name.
We walk on from here, this road, and take them to the missionary, this road here.
Okay.
Take them to Kalgoorlie. They start the Kalgoorlie store. That's a learn.
Yeah.
Sugar and telephone and sugar and everything, flour and bread, dinner meat, all that learn from there.
People were still doing a lot of hunting on, around Kalgoorlie and around Kalgoorlie, but there was definitely a desire to get back out onto country and to sort of reconnect and manage the sites and have better access to hunting.
The fundamental thing, of course, was that people had disconnected from their country, and the country which contains the Tjuntjuntjara and is the very basis of their culture, their lives, their everything.
So they started a push to get back out onto country. So that happened in the early 80s.
And after that one moved out here to Chat Station and to Temple Pump and went to Akaduna and come this way, he found the homeland here.
In those days, the fundings were very, very hard to find. We only had an army truck just to go and get food.
It was really a hard time, that life was.
We only had one tank and a caravan that my husband worked in.
When he stole a little bit store in Akaduna first start, Mr. Paddy was here too, and bring stores.
It was pretty basic at first. We ran the two army trucks for a while. They were used to bring stores in, fuel.
And we had store problems because we didn't have fundings. We only got a little bit of food coming in.
It was still a 2-day trip from Kalgoorlie. We didn't have any cooling or freezing.
Truck came along with the food. We had a little bit of stores, and other kids don't take some lollies there. There's no lollies. There's not enough big store there.
In olden days, they didn't have, because their parents used to take their kids out hunting on the weekend, teach them how to hunt. Everything changed when the community got bigger and when the government gave the land back. That's when the funding came in and new shops and...
We're drinking cold and sweet things, lolly and sweet cool cool drink and the chocolate and all that.
I hadn't really heard about diabetes until perhaps a few years into Tjuntjuntjara.
There were some chronic health problems starting to emerge. There was obesity, there were diabetes was emerging.
White men drink no good wine and all that, now would make sick. See?
Some of the people get wrong food, diabetic, like sugar and them other things.
Nowadays, people getting diabetes, getting sick, high blood pressure, high sugar levels.
The diabetic is killing us for the old people, you know. And now you see people, more sugar and everything is coming in. Stomach get hurt inside to see people. It's my family. They came from bush, and it wasn't their fault to eat sugar and flour to get sick. Now we don't have much people here, but when we first came, we had 95 old people living here with us.
The community was critically aware that these were issues that needed to be sort of resolved, and so in those early days what we did was we also identified that we needed a school.
The kids weren't here in the early days pretty much until the school got going, which was sort of late 90s, 97 onwards.
But before the school, we had open air kids teaching under shade here. That was the hardest way.
There are a lot of people living in Kunana, which is a community close to Kalgoorlie, who wanted to move back out onto country but couldn't because there wasn't a school here. So myself and Ian Baird got together with some of the community people here, some of the elders, and the community were passionate, absolutely passionate about getting establishing a school in Tjuntjuntjara.
The Education Department wouldn't fund us initially.
The Spinifex people refused to give up and decided, well, if the state won't fund a school, let's start our own school.
The community set up their own school physically, and the store funded that out of store profits.
Well, teaching in the hall was a bit hard. We didn't have much tables and chairs for the kids. We sat on the floor to teach them, yeah.
You've got kids aged from 3 through to 15 in one big hall, which has no soundproofing.
Kids tend to get fairly revved up on sugar. They were taking that into the schoolrooms, and it was probably pretty hard to teach.
The kids were making noise and all that, they don't listen. The teachers complaining and said, what is going to do about them kids running around here? So I need one of the AEWs to work. So I had ask them if I can work there.
Well, the teachers, principal comes to us and sisters come to us and tell us what's going on. The kids at school are getting too hypo on whatever they're eating.
There was a lot of kids in the store and we tried to hunt them away, and they would buy all sort of junks and all that. Make them silly, and drinking the Coke and all that.
So we decided that we had to stop them drinking cool drinks or just drink fruit juice.
There's a very strong sense in this community that they treasure good health and that they are active in trying to promote good health within the community. That's not a push by the staff, it's actually a push by the community, and that, I think, makes a big difference.
There's been a tradition in this community right from day one, because the old people were pushing the whole movement back to country, and because when the move happened and people were actually living in country, then they were the authority.
The parents decided that, look, the only way to deal with this is to actually, one, ban the kids from going to the store during school hours, and the second one was ban junk food.
If you find that mother and father, stop and talk to the Mai store. lolly, chocolate, every day. And cool drinks, sweet, drink.
When it's been stopped, they don't like it. So let them kids have them ones. I said no, it's been stopped. The kids gone silly drinking cordial, cool drink, you know, them Coke and
Some used to know the kids and push my and push warmer and oil and push cooker, malo, kangaroo meat, rabbit and all that learning. But you are the kid now. We want to go back to the same way, to lolly.
The children, they're not allowed to buy full sugar drinks, Coke, Fanta. We have a full range of sugar-free drinks, and that's what they can buy.
What's sold at the store is really important for children's health later on in life, with the diabetes incident rate in communities like this.
I would imagine that that children growing up here would you would hope they would start off with a healthy understanding of what a good diet should look like, and not be loaded up with a lot of sugar and a lot of fat.
I've seen children in the Nyinanyi lands with rotten teeth, you know, and they're 5, you know. So here it's a good policy at the store. When we had the dentist here recently, he commented on the quality of the teeth of kids here, and that's largely because we have a lower consumption rate of sugar drinks and of lollies.
When Outback stores came on board in 2012, we already had a store policy, and they supported our existing policy and have been working with us to actually improve it.
Now we've got new people that work in the shop, they're Outback. They say we got food stuff and everything sort of change. Now kids are eating more vegetables and fruits instead of sugar. Yeah.
You know, some people got money, they walk in and get right food, chicken, chops, vegetables, things like that.
Nowadays, people have got a bigger choice, and they've got regular supplies of fruit and vegetables, which are kept well in between store trucks, and quite a variety.
And now it's changed, yeah. So we've got more veggies and fruits, oranges.
We sell much more fruit per person here than what we did in any of the other stores that we worked at.
Our community consumes twice as much fruit and vegetables as, you know, all of the 33 Outback stores that were surveyed last year, and that's a very good story for us.
The initiative must have been coming from the people as well. You know, you can put all the fruit and veg you like into a store, and it doesn't mean that people actually have to eat it.
Tjuntjuntjara sells more vegetables, and because it's for the health of the children and the health of the old people, pensioners, to make them more healthier, because some of them are getting sick, and so we thought, oh, well, more vegetables. And now you go to the shop, you see all the old people are buying vegetables and a lot of fruit for themselves.
They seem to really like their sweet fruits like grapes and strawberries, mangoes. They're really into their tropical fruits, and it's quite easy to sell those products to them. Yeah, you just need to put them in front of their face, and you see them. The kids love them.
The other stores, they stock a lot of like ice creams and chocolates and lollies. This store is slightly different where it doesn't. We do the potato chips on a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning.
Because of its remoteness, I think those sort of things are not as accessible as what they would normally be to communities closer to towns.
We see what happens in other communities where takeaway is just making people lazy. They don't want to cook for their children. They just give the money out and say, oh, you can go and get a takeaway like that. So we don't do that here, so for the children to buy takeaways. Because they wanted to have a takeaway here, but we said no.
A lot of stores, particularly in bigger communities, have got a fast food section.
They need nourishment, not takeaway which is greasy. And you more takeaways, kids are wanting more and more takeaway, so you can't. So we just Don't allow it no more. Never did have it here.
There still is a substantial component of their diets that consist of bush tucker and native foods.
The bonuses of this particular area is that there's always been very good hunting here.
Sometimes they go hunting for bush tucker, have lunch or party, dinner.
And some of the people can show them kids about food.
This mai nyala wangono. Wangono nyala pala nyala ngal ko bay. Pla na jinga ngana na putinga mongol bay. Jana mai pauning ana na manchang na one day to, you know, and we just put hand in there and the thing stone and that mai go down kids and you know, oh, we have a good feed and.
It's important for me and for my girls. So when they grow up a little bit, I might bring them often to see the families. Sometimes come to ceremonies and all that, yeah. And when we come, eat healthy tucker to get healthy and be healthy.
Dig for parties and go hunting.
Emu or anything, no? Quails, rabbits.
Turkey and kangaroo.
Cook it on the ground, traditional way, you know.
Wala waro wepo kodani ale. Wedani waro ale wepo weta banya pono majini. Pono banya kena mani. Para dana mani. Dana ma pono majini. Ale lau kena mani ako. Chokolan da yung wala ko. Tara adari ako. Wearing ma ko jani. Ko ta wande jinta. And wala pa you. Imagine it. Wal ko ni dar.
When they go out bush and we make damper and like kangaroo tail, got to eat right food.
The importance of hunting isn't just the fact that they're still eating bush foods, but it's the amount of activity that they do when they're going hunting or when they're gathering, and I think that's a very important component. So if you see the older people in the community, they're still very, very active, and they do a lot of walking. So that activity, I think, is a very important part of the whole process.
Parents, especially the mothers, are buying a lot of vegetables so they can take it home to make their children more healthier by cooking a lot of vegetables with their chicken or with their chops or whatever they buy. And I think the children are getting stronger here.
Particularly out here where there's not the facilities for people to store food, so they generally buy their food each day at the store.
There's a women's centre that provides information about nutrition and good eating and how to cook.
I started work in 2007 at Heck. With old people every lunch, every day. They like meat and puree, pumpkin, sometimes different feed.
Sometimes ladies help cut the puree, pumpkin, put it in ashes, and chicken, and sometimes we do it sausages with bread and water. Well, they're cooking the right things, like all the vegetables, carrots and onions, and carrots and potatoes and pumpkin, which is good for the children, and lovely hot soup with summertime, so the kids are well fed.
Eating habits are really important for children because that just carries on to later in life.
When I came here to Tjuntjuntjara, I stayed here for a while with my mother's house. Then I've been thinking back to work in a school, and I started working because my son was going to school. The school got a program for kids here, healthy food at school. So I've been started doing breakfast at 8 o'clock to 8:30. giving them Weet-Bix and orange juice.
When kids go to school, they have right food like Weet-Bix, milk, porridge.
At 11 o'clock, morning tea. And after orange juice, apples, banana, pears, carrot, and no sugar, no sweets,
Sandwich and sometimes spaghetti, bolognese and pasta and sausage sometimes.
Try and go to the shop at recess time. They play and go back to the class. And kids have waters in the school with the playground too,
It's really important to maintain children's health in their younger life because it does affect on their later life, particularly hearing problems.
You don't see many children around here with runny noses because the children are checked twice a week by the clinic.
I go over in the mornings at 9 o'clock at the beginning of the day when they do all their health activities.
Blow your nose.
Yeah? What else?
Wash your face. Brush your teeth. And clean your ears.
And then I'm there to check their ears. So if there are any children with pussy ears as such, they get looked at straight away.
I got a wife and 2 kids, 2 girls. And I always tell my daughters, brush their teeth, eat healthy, And when I send them to school, I pack them fruit, water, like that.
I think most communities have found that when somebody comes in and implements something that hasn't got community support or has engaged the community in any way, those strategies fail as soon as that person leaves. In this particular case, we're talking about an ongoing nutrition strategy that's lasted 15 to 20 years, and that can only happen when it has full support from the community, and that's the difference.
Decisions were often made over days, weeks, but they always had to have the imprimatur of the oldies, and there was like a sort of a group or a council who were really the decision makers, and it was a matter of making sure that you picked up what the decisions were and executed them, for someone like me.
We do expect to see a long-term positive effect. We do expect to see a flattening of the number of people who get diabetes and the current rate of obesity. We expect to see that stop as well.
We know that body mass index is 10% lower than mainstream Australia, which is highly unusual in an Aboriginal community. It proves to us that a strong board or a strong store committee working closely with the store managers and with the school and with the health service and with the women's centre does produce good results.
Today the stores are very good. It's nice to have vegetables and fruits in our shop and teach our kids to eat properly. We're going to keep that going for the next generation.